Hello students, how are you all? Today we have the continuation topic general properties of the d block elements. In that next one is ionization enthalpies. Now let us discuss the variation of ionization enthalpies in a given series and in groups. First we will discuss the variation of ionization enthalpies in a given series. In a series. In general, while moving from left to right in a given series, the ionization enthalpies are increases. In general, while moving from left to right in a given series, ionization enthalpies are increases. Ionization enthalpies are increases. So the increasing ionization enthalpies is because of size in general, size and nothing but radius is going to get decreases. The size is in general decreases. So the size decreases because of nuclear charge is going to get increases. Nuclear charge increases. So when moving from left to right in general, the ionization enthalpies are increases because of nuclear charge is increases. As a result, size is decreases. Because of decreasing of size in general, ionization enthalpies are going to get increases. Of course, at the end of the series, the size is going to get increases. Already we discussed in the atomic sizes. Next, in general, there is increasing in the ionization enthalpy from left to right, but there is no regular trend. There is no continuous increasing from left to right. There is no regular trend. There is no regular trend. This point meaning is while moving from left to right in general, the ionization enthalpies are increases, but there is no continuous increase from left to right in a given series. So increase decreasing will be there. So there is no continuous increasing ionization enthalpy from left to right in a given series. So there is no regular trend. Now let us discuss the ionization enthalpies of some elements in 3D series. 3D series. So I am taking chromium and manganese. I am taking chromium and manganese. Some exceptional cases is there. So we will discuss IE1, IE2, IE3 of chromium and manganese. First I am taking ionization energy 1. I am talking about ionization energy 1. So IE1 is nothing but energy required to remove first electron. Energy required to remove the first electron is called as the first ionization enthalpy or first ionization energy. I am labeling it as IE1. So first we have to the electronic configuration of chromium argon 3d5O4s1, and this configuration is argon 3d5O4s2 configuration. So here is the 3d5O4s2 more stable configuration compared to the 3d5O4s1. So this is more stable configuration. More stable configuration. So removing of electrons from Mn is required more energy when compared to the chromium. So that IE1 values IE1 chromium is less than manganese. This is the general regular trend only. While moving from left to right, the ionization enthalpies are increases. So first we have scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium. After they will get manganese. Manganese higher value when compared to the chromium. This is the general trend in the case of IE1. Next, I am taking IE2, ionization energy 2. The case of this is IE1, ionization energy 1. IE2 meaning is the energy required to remove the second electron. So energy required to remove the second electron is called as ionization enthalpy 2, second ionization enthalpy. So after removing of the first electron, what is the configuration got is 3d5, this will become 4s0 because IE1 already we removed one electron. So after removing of electron we got this electron is removed. First we have to remove the electron from the outermost energy level. So first we have to remove the electron from 4s orbital, then we have to remove the 3d orbital. So first I removed 4s electron from the 4s orbital. So this will become 4s0 3d5, and this combination become manganese combination argon 3d5O4s1. First we have to remove only one electron. So here is 3d5. First we have to remove the electron from the 4s orbital. Here we remove one electron. Will become 3d5O4s1. This is the after removing of one electron. Next we have to compare the ionization energy 2. So from which element we can remove the electron very easily? That is the question. That is the IE2. Here is after removing of electron, we got 4s1 configuration. Here we got d5 configuration. d5 configuration is nothing but half-filled electronic configuration. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We got a half-filled electronic configuration. Here is we have to remove the second electron from the 4s orbital, but here we have to remove the second electron from the d5 orbital. So that here is required energy is more. So that IE2 of chromium is greater than the manganese. So IE2 value is not continuously increases from left to right. There is an exception. Here is chromium IE2 is greater than the manganese. So chromium after will get manganese. Manganese must have the higher value, but here is chromium has higher value as compared to the manganese. This is IE2. So look at here. Compare the IE1 and IE2. IE1 chromium is greater, but IE1 chromium is less than the manganese, but IE2 chromium is greater than the manganese. This is because of after removing of an electron, the relative energies of 3d and 4s orbitals changes. After removing of electron, the relative energies of 3d and 4s orbital changes. As a result, the chromium has higher energy. IE2 is greater than that of the manganese because removing of electron from half electron configuration required more energy. Next, I am comparing IE3. Let us take IE3. We have compared IE3. So I am taking chromium. So after removing of second electron, what is the configuration we got is 3d4 4s0. So we after removing of third electron, I am talking about removing of third electron 4s0 3d5. We have to remove electron from the d5. This will become 3d4 4s0. Then here is argon 3d5 4s0 after removing of 2 electrons. So IE3 in a sense we have to take for this we have to take chromium plus 2. Here is we are going to get manganese plus 2 configuration. That is manganese plus 2 configuration. This configuration is chromium plus 1 configuration. This is chromium plus 1. This is manganese plus 1. This is manganese plus 1. So first electron is removed, we got chromium plus 1. We remove the second electron. Next we have to remove the third electron. To remove the third electron, what is the configuration going to get? This is 3d5 4s0. Now we have to remove the third electron. From which element we can remove the third electron very easily? That is the IE3. So IE3, which is the greater value. Look at this configuration. Here we have d5 configuration. We have d4 configuration. D4 is there. Here is the d5 configuration is there. This is half-filled configuration. Removing of electron from the half-filled configuration required more energy. So this is d4. This is not half-filled. This is not completely filled. It is incompletely filled. So when compared to this one, d5 is more stable. D4 is less stable. So that removing of electron from the d5 required is more. So that IE3 chromium is less than manganese. IE3 chromium is less than manganese. Look at here. IE1 manganese is greater than the chromium. IE2 chromium is greater than the manganese. Opposite is there. And IE3 again manganese is greater than the chromium. This is mainly because of after removing of one electron, the relative energies of 3d and 4s orbital is changes. Next, let us take one more example. I am taking another set copper and zinc. I am taking another set is copper and zinc. Let us understand by taking this one. So first I am taking IE1. IE1. Let us take first combination of copper. So this is 3d10 4s1. 3d10 4s1. Zinc combination is argon 3d10 4s2. 3d10 4s2. So from which element we can remove the electron very easily? Here is a stable configuration. This is 4s1 is there. This configuration is less stable compared to this one. So that removing of electron from zinc required more energy. So that IE1 values to remove the first electrons, copper and zinc is greater value. Zinc is greater than the copper. Next, this is the first case. Next, let us compare the IE2. After removing of electron, the copper will become Cu plus, zinc become Zn plus. Isn't it? Zinc become Zn plus. So first we have to remove the second electron, IE2. Iodine after removing of electron configuration will become what? This is argon 3d10 4s1. Argon 3d10 4s1. This will be argon 3d10 4s0. Look at this configuration. Here is we have the D10 configuration. Here is a 4. We have to remove this electron 4s1 configuration. Removing of electron from the D10 configuration required more energy when compared to the 4s. So that this is a half fill, completely filled electron configuration. As a result, IE2 copper is greater than the zinc. IE2 copper is greater than the zinc. Next, let us look at the IE3. IE3. So IE3 cells will have to remove the third electron also. Then this will become copper plus 2. We get copper plus 2. Then we are going to get Zn plus 2. Zn plus 2. So copper plus 2 conversion is 3d9 4s0. 3d9 4s0. Zinc conversion is 3d. Of course, argon is I'm not writing argon. Argon 3d10 4s0. Look at here. We have a D10 configuration. So D10 configuration since energy required to remove this electron required more. Energy required to remove this electron is more. Then the IE3 copper is less than zinc. IE3 copper is less than zinc. IE3 copper is less than zinc. That means zinc is greater value and compared to copper in the case of IE3. So the point is there is no regular trend increasing of ionization enthalpy. Either IE1, IE2 or IE3, there is some irregular trend is there. So this is because of relative after removing of electrons, relative energies of D, 3d as well as 4s orbitals are changes. This is a variation of ionization enthalpies in a groups. Next, in a period, that means in a given series. Next, variation of ionization enthalpies in a groups. In group. So while moving from top to bottom, in general periodic table, while moving from top to bottom, the ionization enthalpies decreases because size is increases. So while moving from top to bottom, in general, the ionization enthalpies decreases because of increasing of atomic sizes. So moving from 3d to 4d, 4d to 5d. So 3d to 4d. While moving from 3d to 4d, ionization enthalpies are decreases. Ionization enthalpies are decreased because size is going to get increases. This is no problem. But 3d to 4d, ionization enthalpies are not decreases, they are increases. So 3d to 4d, ionization enthalpies are decreases. This is the general trend. While moving from top to bottom, atomic sizes are increases, ionization enthalpies are decreases. But while moving from 4d to 5d, instead of decreasing the ionization enthalpies, the ionization enthalpies are increases. This is due to lanthanide contraction. This is due to lanthanide contraction. This is due to lanthanide contraction. So what we can expect is 3d is less than the 4d, and 4d is 3d is less than the 4d, and 4d is less than the 5d. So 5d value is more compared to the 3d. So this is the ionization enthalpies of transition elements. Next, oxidation states. The transition elements shows variable oxidation states. That means the elements exhibit more than one oxidation states. This is mainly due to the availability of Ns and N-1d electrons for bonding. So this is the reason. Transition elements shows variable oxidation states. Variable oxidation states. The transition elements show variable oxidation states due to availability of Ns and N minus 1 d electrons for bonding. Now let us discuss the oxidation states of 3D series elements. I am taking the 3D series. Now let us discuss the variable oxidation states of 3D series elements. The elements is first scandium, next one is titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper and zinc. So first scandium. Scandium will show the oxidation state is +3. We know very well that electron configuration of scandium general writing this is 3d14s2. If 3 electrons are involved in the bonding, we get +8 oxidation state. Next titanium we have is 3d24s2. So is 3d24s2. If these 2 electrons involved in the bonding, it will show the +2 oxidation state. If these 2 and 1 electron from the d electron involved in the bond, you will get +3 oxidation state. All these 4 electrons involved in the bond will exhibit +4 oxidation state. Next, vanadium. It is argon 3d3,4s2. If these 2 electrons involved in the bonding, they can exhibit +2. 2 plus 1 electron from the d electron involved in the bonding, they will exhibit +3. So 4 electrons involved in the bonding, +4. 3 plus 2, 5, all electrons involved in the bonding, they can exhibit +5 oxidation state. Next, chromium. This is a 3d5,4s1. If 2 electrons involved in the bonding, +2, 3 electrons involved in the bonding, +3, 4 electrons, +4, so +5, and last one is +6. 5 plus 2 total, the number of electrons, total electrons involved in the bonding, you get +6. Manganese, 3d5,4s2. Then maximum possibility 2, 2, 3 plus 2, 5, 7 possibility. So 5 plus 2, 7 possibility is there. So +2, +3, +4, +5, +6 and +7. So here is a total number of 5 plus 2, 7 electrons is there. It exhibits +7 oxidation state. Iron. So iron 3d6,4s2. It can exhibit +2, +3, +4 and it exhibits +6. Next, cobalt 3d7,4s2. Here is +2, +3 and +4. Next, nickel 3d8,4s2. Then conversion is oxidation is +2, +3 and +4. Here copper conversion is 3d10,4s1. So this 1 electron involved in the bond will exhibit +1 oxidation state. If 2 electrons involved in the bond, you get +2 oxidation state. Next, zinc 3d10,4s2. 3d10,4s2 and zinc exhibit only +2 oxidation state. So only these 2 electrons involved in the bonding. These 10 electrons, because of stable electron configuration, these electrons are not involved in the bonding. So exhibit maximum +2 oxidation state. So this is the oxidation states of 3D series elements. Next, the stability of these oxidation numbers. The stability of high oxidation states. So we have high oxidation state +6 and +7. So these are the high oxidation state. The higher oxidation states of transition elements can be stabilized by the oxygen and fluorine. Let us take an example. I am taking Mn2O7. Mn2O7 manganese is +7 oxidation state. The +7 oxidation state of manganese can be stabilized by the oxygen. So it is due to its small size and high electronegativity. So oxygen has a small size and a high electronegativity. It can stabilize the higher oxidation states of transition elements. In addition to oxygen, another element we have is fluorine. I am taking chromium CrF6. So this is the high oxidation number of chromium is +6. So the +6 is the higher oxidation state of chromium. The +6 higher oxidation state of chromium can be stabilized by the here is fluorine. The same reason, the fluorine has a high electron negativity and a small size. Because of its small size and high electronegativity, it can stabilize the higher oxidation states of transition metals. So here the point is oxygen and fluorine. Oxygen and fluorine can stabilize the higher oxidation states of transition elements due to The reason is due to, the first reason is its small size. The small size. The small size, one reason. The second is high electronegativity. So high electronegativity is the second reason. So because of the small size and high electronegativity, the fluorine and oxygen can stabilize the higher oxidation states of transition metals. So they can oxidize the metal to higher oxidation states. Fluorine and oxygen and fluorine can oxidize the metal to higher oxidation state because of their small size and higher electronegativity. So this is the oxidation states of transition elements in that 3D series. Next, stranded electrode potentials. Stranded reduction potential also called as stranded electrode potentials. So for some take reduction form, this is a metal in the form of plus an oxidation number. It will take n electrons, converting into metal. In the oxidation number of this metal is 0. So plus n to 0, number is decreased. Decreasing oxidation number, nothing but reduction. Thus, stranded reduction potential also called as stranded electrode potentials. Now, if you look at the stranded electrode potentials of n plus 2 to 0 of the elements of titanium to zinc. If you look at the stranded electrode potentials of titanium to zinc, that m plus n to 0. So these are electrode potentials m plus n to 0. If you look at the stranded electrode potentials, the negative values, here is minus 1.63, minus 1.19, 1.18, minus 0.9, minus 0.44, minus 0.28. So in general, the negative values from left to right. In general, the negative values are left to right decreases. The negative values are decreases. This is reason mainly because the increasing the sum of the first and the second ionization enthalpies. Due to increasing of sum of the first and second ionization enthalpies, the negative values of the stranded electrode potentials decreases from left to right. This is a general trend. Next, if you look at the ionization enthalpies of stranded electrode potentials of copper, all these elements has a negative stranded electrode potentials. All these elements has negative stranded electrode potentials except copper. Copper has a positive value. All elements has negative value except copper. Copper has a positive value. Now the question is arises, why the copper has positive value and why the remaining elements are the negative value? So why the copper is a positive value? First we have to identify. So first we have to convert copper solid form into aqueous state. I am taking in the form of metal M. So in any case we can apply this concept to metal in solid state. So metal solid is converting into metal gas state. Metal solid converting into metal gas state. So metal solid converting into metal gas state, we have to supply the energy, that is nothing but enthalpy of atomization, standard enthalpy of atomization. So this is the metal solid. So we have to separate the solid into elemental state. So we have to separate all the atoms. So energy required to separate convert the solid metal into the gas state atoms. The energy required is nothing but enthalpy of atomization. So solid metal converting into gas state atoms. Energy required is enthalpy of atomization. Energy is absorbed here. Next, what is the metal we got? Metal we got in the gaseous state, we have to remove the electron. We have to converting ionic state. So we have to remove electron. Then we are going to get m plus n. M plus n. We have to remove the electron. So energy required to remove the electron, we have to call it as ionization enthalpy. Energy required to remove electron from this atom, we have to call it as ionization enthalpy. So this is a gaseous state again. So solid metal converting into gaseous atom converting into gaseous ion, atom converting into ion. Next, what is the ion we got? M plus n. This is a gaseous state. So this one we have to add it to the water, aqueous water. So we are going to get m plus n in aqueous. Whenever the ion is added to the water, energy is liberated. That energy we have to call it as a hydration enthalpy. Standard hydration enthalpy. So So what we did is a metal converting into metal solid converting into Mn aqueous state. Metal converting into metal aqueous metal ion aqueous state. So what in these first two cases energy is observed. This is enthalpy of atomization. This enthalpy ionization enthalpy. Here energy is liberated. This is nothing but hydration enthalpy. So electrode potential depends upon the enthalpy of atomization, ionization enthalpy, and hydration enthalpy. So standard electrode potential depends upon enthalpy of atomization, ionization enthalpy, and hydration enthalpy. Now the question is why the copper has a positive charge? That is the question. Why the copper has a positive charge? So copper salt converting into copper plus 2 in aqueous state. So here copper salt has a high enthalpy of atomization. Copper has a high enthalpy of atomization and they have low hydration enthalpy. So here the enthalpy of atomization is very high and hydration enthalpy is very low. So here high energy required to transfer Cu solid to Cu plus 2 aqueous state. The high energy required to transfer Cu solid to Cu plus 2 aqueous state is not balanced by the hydration enthalpy. To transfer the copper solid into copper plus 2 aqueous state, high energy is required. So that energy is not balanced by the hydration enthalpies. So that hydration enthalpy. As a result, the copper has a positive standard electrode potentials. So this is the standard electrode potentials. Next, magnetic properties. When magnetic field applied to a substance, mainly two types of magnetic behaviors are observed. They are, the first one is diamagnetic and the second one is paramagnetic. The first one is diamagnetic and the second one is paramagnetic. The second one is paramagnetic substances. Here the diamagnetic substances are repelled by applied magnetic field. Diamagnetic substances. Diamagnetic substance is repelled. Diamagnetic substance is repelled by applied magnetic field or single applied field. Applied magnetic field. Next, paramagnetic substances. Paramagnetic substances attracted by applied magnetic field. Paramagnetic substances are attracted by applied magnetic field. So another one, ferromagnetism. So ferromagnetic substances are ferromagnetism is extreme form of paramagnetism. They are strongly attracted by the applied magnetic field or applied field. Next, the paramagnetism arises from presence of unpaired electrons. It arises from presence of unpaired electrons. So paramagnetism arises from presence of unpaired electrons. Next, each electron has a magnetic moment. Each electron has a magnetic moment associated with spin angular momentum and orbital angular momentum. Each electron has a magnetic moment associated with spin angular momentum and orbital angular momentum. Next, magnetic moment is determined by the presence of number of unpaired electrons and calculated by the spin only formula. Next, magnetic moment. Magnetic moment is determined by unpaired electrons, number of unpaired electrons, and calculated by spin only formula. It is nothing but mu is equal to square root of n into n plus 2. So this is the formula we have used to calculate the magnetic moment. Here n is equal to number of unpaired electrons. Here mu is equal to magnetic moment. Magnetic moment in units of Bohr magneton. In units of Bohr magneton. Next, magnetic moment increases with increasing the number of unpaired electrons. Magnetic moment increases with increase of number of unpaired electrons. Number of unpaired electrons. So magnetic moment increases with increasing the number of unpaired electrons. This is a magnetic moment. So this formula is very important. Mu is equal to root of n into n plus 2. By using this formula, we will calculate the magnetic moment of some metal ions. So this is a magnetic moment. Next, calculation of magnetic moment of some 3D series ions. First, I am taking the ion. Next, configuration. Next, unpaired electrons. Next, magnetic moment. Magnetic moment in Bohr magnetons calculated. Then first I am taking ion of scandium plus 3. Scandium plus 3 in the sense number of unpaired electrons we have to find out. So one example we will take scandium, atomic number is 21 and its electron configuration is argon 3d1 4s2. So what we do is scandium plus 3. Scandium plus 3 in the sense we have to remove, plus in the sense it lost 3 electrons. So there is a loss of 3 electrons to give the positive charge. We have to remove 3 electrons. The configuration is argon 3 electrons we have to, first we have to remove electron from the 4s, then we have to remove electron from the 3d. So these 2 electrons come, these 3 electrons, total all these electrons will be removed. Then 3d 0, 4s also 0. So it has configuration is 3d 0. Configuration is 3d 0. Unpaired electrons also will be taken as 0. Its magnetic moment will be taken as 0. Next, I am taking titanium plus 3. Scandium plus 3. Next, titanium plus 3. Titanium plus 3, again we have to take electron configuration is 22. Configuration is argon 3d2 4s2. Isn't it? Argon 3d2 4s2. Then what we have to do is we have to remove titanium plus 3. Titanium plus 3 sense we have to remove 3 electrons. So first we have to remove electron from the 4s. So after removing of these 4s electrons, we have to remove electron from the d orbital. And the configuration become argon 3d1 4s0. Number of unpaired electrons we have to find out. So only one unpaired electron is there. So number of unpaired electrons is equal to, here is the configuration is 3d1 4s0 3d1. Number of unpaired electrons is equal to 1. Then we have to calculate the magnetic moment of this titanium plus 3. What is the formula we have? So formula mu is equal to square root of n into n plus 2, isn't it? Here that is equal to n is nothing but number of unpaired electrons. How many number of unpaired electrons is there? Only one unpaired electron is there. then 1 into 1 plus 2, isn't it? That is equal to root 3. So what is the value of root 3? That is equal to 1.732. 1.73 can take. So this is the method we have to calculate the magnetic moment of ions. So its value is 1.73. 1.73. I think what, how do you calculate it? Then I'm taking the titanium plus 2. Titanium plus 2. Then titanium plus, in sense same you have to take, this is titanium. I'm converting it to plus 2 form. Titanium plus 2. Titanium plus, in the sense how many electrons we have to remove? 2 electrons we have to remove. Then argon configuration, argon 3d and 4s. First we have to remove electron from the 4s, then we have to remove electron from the 3d atom. So here is a 4s 0 and 3d 2. 4s 0, 3d 2. Removing of the electrons, this will be 0, this is remaining is 2 electrons. The configuration is 3d how much you can take? 2. And the number of unpaired electrons how many is here? 2. Number of unpaired electrons is equal to 2. Then magnetic moment mu is equal to, what is the formula we have to use? N into n plus 2, isn't it? Then here n is equal to how much we have to take? 2. So is equal to root of 2 into 2 plus 2. Here n is equal to how much you can take? 2. Then that is equal to get root 8. Root 8 in the sense we can take 2.84. Next I'm writing viridium plus 2. Directly I'm writing viridium plus 2. The configuration is 3d3. Number of unpaired electrons is equal to 3. Its magnetic moment is 3.87. So we will get 3 unpaired electrons. Similar way we have to do. Next vanadium after we have is titanium chromium plus 2. So chromium plus 2, the configuration is 3d4. 3d4, number of unpaired electrons is equal to 4. Then the magnetic moment is 4.9. Next chromium after we get manganese plus 2. Manganese plus 2 configuration is 3d5. 3d5, number of unpaired electrons is equal to 5. The magnetic moment is 9.2. So this is the magnetic moment of Mn plus 2. Next we have is manganese after iron. Iron plus 2. Iron plus 2 we have is 3d6 configuration. Then how many number of unpaired electrons is that we have to find out. 3d6 configuration I'm taking iron. I will explain how many number of unpaired electrons. Here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because maximum number of unpaired possible is d is 5 only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here is d6 configuration is there. The configuration is d6. How many number of unpaired electrons are possible we have to find out. So electron configuration of iron is we can take argon 3d6 4s0. So 3d6 4s2. The configuration is given Fe plus 2 is given. Fe plus 2 sense we have to remove 2 electrons from the 4s energy level. We will get Fe plus 2 here. Fe plus 2 configuration is 3d6 4s0. First we have to remove electron from the s orbital, then we have to remove electron from the d orbital. So d6 configuration. D6 configuration sense look at this 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and d6 is there 6. And now how many number of unpaired electrons is there? 4 unpaired electrons is there. Then n is equal to, we can take it is 4, not 6. Even the d6 configuration number of unpaired is equal to 4. So 4 in the sense what is the magnetic moment we got? 4.9. Magnetic moment is 4.9, isn't it? Next iron. I'm taking cobalt plus 2. Cobalt plus 2 configuration is 3d7. 3d7 number of unpaired electrons. So similarly we have to do. So cobalt I'm taking, cobalt configuration is argon 3d7 4s2. Argon 3d7 4s2. Then cobalt plus 2 is there. Cobalt plus in sense argon. First we have to remove the 4s electrons. Then we have to remove 3d. So configuration is cobalt plus 2 only. Then the configuration become 3d7 4s0. Then I'm writing d orbitals 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Look at this. How many number of unpaired electrons is there? 3 unpaired electrons is present. The number of unpaired electrons is equal to 3. Number of unpaired electrons is equal to 3 in the sense, what is the magnetic moment? 3.87, isn't it? 3.87. I think not how to calculate the magnetic moment by using a spin only formula. Mu is equal to root of n into n plus 2. If you know the number of unpaired electrons, we are able to find out the magnetic moment value very easily. Next, cobalt after we have Ni plus 2, nickel plus 2. The configuration is 3d8. Then how many number of electrons, how many number of unpaired electrons present in the nickel? So similarly we have to do. I am taking nickel electron configuration is argon 3d8 4s2, isn't it? Nickel is in the form of plus 2. Then remove 2 electrons. First we have removed d s orbital. So 3d8 4s0. Then d8 configuration. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Number of unpaired electrons is equal to how many? Number of unpaired electrons is equal to 2. Here is 2 electrons is present. Then n is equal to 2 here. If n is equal to 2, so n is equal to 2, then what is the magnetic moment you got? 2.84. 2.84. Nickel after taking nickel, copper plus 1 taking. Copper plus 2, the conversion is, I am writing here, I am rubbing it up. So I am taking copper plus 2. Copper conversion is argon 3d10 4s1. Argon 3d10 4s1. If you look at this conversion, then copper in the form of plus 2 conversion. Copper is in the plus 2 ion. Then we have to remove 2 electrons. So 3d9 4s0. 3d9 4s0. So after removing of electrons, the conversion we have tried. Sorry, how many number of unpaired electrons? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Only one unpaired electron is present. So in the case of copper plus 2, 3d9 only one unpaired, 100 sense how much we can take? 1.73, isn't it? Next I am taking Zn plus 2. Zn plus 2 in the sense we have to take 3d10. 3d10 in the sense all the orbitals. I am taking, suppose this is Zn. In the case of Zn, d10 configuration. After removing of electrons we have d10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In the case of Zn plus 2, 3d10, 4s0. So no unpaired electron. Number of unpaired electrons in the d10 is 0. So 0 in the sense magnetic moment is 0. So this is a method to calculate the magnetic moment of ions by using the spin only formula mu is equal to root of n into n plus. These are the calculated values of magnetic moment. So this is a magnetic moment, magnetic properties. Next, formation of colored ions. In aqueous solutions, transition metal ions are colored. It is due to DD transition. So colored ions is due to DD transition. Simply color of ion is due to DD transition. Now let us understand what is the meaning of DD transition. I am taking a d orbital. In absence of ligand, all the d orbitals in combination, all the d orbitals have a same energy. We have to call them as degenerate orbitals. So this is dxy, dyz, dxz. This is dx square, y square, and this is dz square. So all these orbitals have same energy. We have to call them as degenerate orbitals in ground state. So in presence of ligand, these orbitals are split into two sets. So here is water is a ligand. In aqueous solutions, water is a ligand. So in aqueous solutions, what is a ligand? In presence of ligand, these degenerate orbitals split into two sets. So one set we have to call as Eg set, and another set we have to call as T to the set. This is a T to the set. So the T to the set has a lower energy and E to the set has a higher energy. This is a T to the set has a lower energy. And these are a higher energy. Higher energy. So the electron, when in presence of light, the electrons, light is absorbed when these are metal ions absorb light, the electrons present in the lower energy state. The electron present in the lower energy state get excited to the higher energy state. The electron will jump from lower energy state to higher energy state. Electron will going to get reaches to here. And here is E to the higher energy state, E to the lower energy state. So when electron coming to the ground state, it will emit what is energy absorbed in the visible spectrum. So the color is due to the, this is DD transition. Electron from the lower energy state excited to the higher energy state, and electron from higher energy state to coming to the ground vertical state. So initially it is absorb the light from the visible region, and what is the light is absorbed is emitted. The color of the metal ions is due to the this excitation, DD transition. Electrons emit from one d orbital to another d orbital. We have to call them as a DD transition. Next, configuration. If the configuration is D0 configuration and D10 configuration. D0 and D10 configurations are colorless. D0 and D10 configurations are colorless because D0 in the sense there is no any electron. Electron is not there in the T to the set. No electron is there. No electron in there is no DD transition. No jumping of electron from one d orbital to another d orbital. So d orbital to d orbital, no excitation of electron. So there is no color. So DD transition is not possible. If D10 configuration is there, all these T to the set orbitals and E to the set orbitals are completely filled with electrons. All these orbitals are filled with electrons. So even the electron is excited, it cannot occupy its position because these are completely filled. It also is completely filled. Even D0 and D10 configuration, so no DD transition. So here is no DD transition. There is no DD transition. DD transition is not possible, so they are colorless. The colorless, these are D0 and D10 configuration are colorless because of no DD transition. Next we have configuration D0, D10, remaining between D0 and D10 we have is D1 to D9 configurations. D1 to D9 configurations are colored. Are colored due to DD transition. They are colored, they exhibit to color. Exhibit color due to DD transition. Due to DD transition. So D1 to D9 exhibit color due to transition. D0 D10 configurations are colorless due to lack of DD transition. Now let us discuss some metal ions in aqueous, color of metal ions in aqueous solutions. So first I am taking scandium plus 3. First we take a configuration. Configuration, then you can take a ion. Nothing but example. Next we can take, here is a color. So first I am taking a configuration. First I am taking a D0 configuration. D0 configuration example, you can take a scandium plus 3. Scandium plus in sense no electron, D0 in sense D0 configuration, no DD transition, colorless. So it is colorless. Next one is D0 I am taking again. This case I am taking titanium plus 4. So all the electrons removed in the titanium. Titanium is 22. So 3d to 4s2. All electrons are removed. So D0 configuration again it is colorless. Next I am taking D1. For the case of D1 configuration I am taking titanium plus 3. So D1 to D9 configurations are color due to DD transition. So D1 titanium plus 3, this is purple. It is purple color. Next I am taking D2 configuration. Example for the D2 configuration I am taking vanadium plus 3. So vanadium plus 3 is also D1 to D9. Any D1 to D9 you can take a color. It is a green color. So it is a green color. Next we have to take a D3 compression. D3 compression we can take a vanadium. D3 compression we can take a vanadium plus 2. So color of this compound is a violet. Color of the same is a violet. I am taking a D4 compression. So for D4 compression, example is vanadium, we can take a chromium plus 2. The color of chromium plus 2 is a blue. It is a blue color. I am taking a D5 conversion. So D1 to D1 to D9 are colored. So D5 conversion, vanadium, chromium taking a manganese. I am increasing the vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron and so on. So Mn plus the color is a purple. I am taking the D6 conversion. D6 manganese will get iron. So vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron plus 2 oxidation state I am taking. Then iron plus 2 color is green. Green. Next I am taking D7. D7 is iron, after we have is manganese, iron, cobalt. So cobalt plus 2. The color of cobalt plus 2 is purple. The color is purple. Next D8. The D8 I am taking is Ni plus 2. So Ni plus 2 is green. So Ni plus 2 is green. Next we have D9 compression. So D9 compression I am taking vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel. I am taking is copper plus 2. All I took copper plus 2 oxidation state. All the oxidation state. Then this is blue color. So copper plus 2 is blue color. Next we have is D10. D10 we can take Zn plus 2. So here is D9 is colored. We got D10. D0, D10 are colorless. So here is zinc is colorless. Zinc is colorless. So this is the color of transition metal ions in the aqueous solution. Simply color is due to the DD transition. Color of the metal ions is due to DD transition. So this is a formation of colored ions. Next, formation of complex compounds. In complex compounds, metal ion binds to number of anions or neutral molecules. So let's look at some examples. I am taking example complex compound FeCN taken 6 minus 3. So it is a complex compound. Here is a metal ion binds to the number of Cn minus ions here. So let's take one more example. I am taking CONH3 taken 6 times on the complex is plus 2 charge. So this is our first example and this is I am taking a second example. If you look at this molecule, here is metal. Cobalt is a metal. The cobalt metal binds to NH3 molecules. NH3 molecule is a neutral molecule. So metal ion binds to the anions and metal ions binds to the neutral molecules. So these are some examples for complex compound. Let's take one more example. CuNH3 taken 4 times and the complex we have is plus 2 charge. This is another example. In the case of this is minus, we can take minus 4 also. So FeCN taken 6 and the complex we have is minus 4. So these are some examples of complex compounds. Next, the transition metals from large number of complex compounds. It is mainly due to the first reason. The transition metals are the elements forms large number of complex compounds. Large number of complex compounds is due to. So here transition metals from large number of complex compounds is due to the first reason is comparatively smaller size. Comparatively smaller size of metal ion. the smaller size of metal. This is the first reason. The second reason is a high ionic charge. High ionic charge. This is the second reason. Third reason is availability of D. D acts for bond formation. Availability of D orbitals for bond formation. Availability of D orbitals for bond formation. So these are the reasons why the transition metals form large number of complex compounds. This is the formation of complex compounds. Next, catalytic properties. Transition metals and their compounds have catalytic properties. The catalytic property of transition metal and the compounds is due to the ability to adapt multiple oxidation states and to form complexes. The catalytic property is due to ability to adapt multiple oxidation states and to form complexes. So let us look at some examples. I'm taking vanadium pentoxide. In the contact process, manufacturing of sulfuric acid by contact process, V2O5 can act as a catalyst. That is like the equation 2SO2 plus O2 gives rise to V2O5. Gives rise to 2SO3. This is the manufacturing of sulfuric acid by contact process. This reaction we can use. Here V2O5 is a catalyst. So vanadium is a 3D series. Vanadium is a 3D series element. Next, look at the manufacturing of ammonia by Haber process. We can use the finely divided iron. So manufacturing of ammonia by Haber process gives rise to 2NH3. In this case, we will use iron as a catalyst, molybdenum as a promoter. So iron is a catalyst, molybdenum is a promoter. So these are transition metals and their compounds have a catalytic properties. This is due to their ability to adapt multiple oxidation states and they are able to form complex compounds. Let us take an example. So iron 3 catalyzes reaction between the iodide and persulfate. Let us take one example for this case. Iron 3 catalyzes reaction between iodide and persulfate. That's the equation. So iodide, nothing but we can take I minus. Persulfate, nothing but S2O8 minus. This is persulfate. Then the product is I2 plus SO4 minus 2. SO4 minus 2, we have to balance. This is 2 and this is 2, SO4 minus 2. In this case, so here is iron 3 converted into iron plus 2. Let's look at the mechanism first. So I'm taking I minus. I minus first react with the catalyst is iron 3. So Fe in the form of plus 3. F in the form of plus 3. Then what is the product respect is I2 plus converting into Fe plus 2. Look at this. So iron 3 is converting into iron plus 2. So they change the oxidation number. Here is 2I minus, so this is 2 Fe plus 2. This is 2, so 2 Fe plus 3, this is 2 Fe plus 2. 2 electrons from the 2I minus. 2 electrons from the I minus 2 electrons will be taken by the Fe plus 3. The plus 3 oxidation state converting into plus 2 oxidation state. So they have ability to adapt to multiple oxidation state. Plus 3 converting into plus 2 converting into plus. They have ability to adapt to multiple oxidation states. Next, what we got 2Fe plus 2. 2Fe plus 2 in turn S2O8 minus. S2O8 minus 2 gives rise to 2Fe plus 3. 2Fe plus 3 plus SO4 minus 2. SO4 minus 2. So look at here, Fe plus converting into Fe plus 3. So plus 3 converting into plus 2 and plus Fe plus converting into Fe plus 3. They have ability to adapt to multiple oxidation states. So this is the main reason for catalytic property of these transition elements. So the transition elements have catalytic property due to their ability to adapt to multiple oxidation states and they form complexes. This is a catalytic property. Next, formation of interstitial compounds. The transition metals form interstitial compounds when the small atoms like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen trapped inside the crystal lattice. Let us look at some example for the interstitial compounds. I am taking example titanium carbide. Titanium carbide example of interstitial compound. Next I am taking N4N. Next, another one is I am taking Fe3H. So these are some examples of interstitial compounds. Titanium carbide, Mn4NO and Fe3H. So interstitial compounds are formed when the small atoms like carbon, nitrogen and hydrogen trapped inside the crystal lattice. So let's take an example. This is the a metallic crystal. Imagine. So these are the metal atoms, lattice point nothing but. So this position nothing but interstitial position. These positions is occupied by the small atoms. These positions are occupied by the small atoms like carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen. So the compounds formed are called as interstitial compounds. Example titanium carbide, Mn4N, Fe3H. Now let us look at some characteristics of interstitial compounds. In that first one, they have high melting points. They have high melting points. The melting points of these interstitial compounds is more than the pure metals. Sometimes more than the pure metals. Next one is they are hard. Sometimes some reaches even diamond hard. They are very hard. Interstitial compounds are very hard. Some reaches even diamond hard. The next one is they retain metallic conductivity. They retain metallic conductivity. So here they are very hard. They are very hard. They are very hard or they retain metallic conductivity. Next, they are chemically inert. They are chemically inert. They are chemically inert. So these are some characteristics of interstitial compounds. This is interstitial compounds. Next, alloys formation. Alloys are the homogeneous solid solutions in which atoms of one metal distributed randomly among the atoms of other metal. Alloys are the homogeneous solid solutions in which atoms of one metal distributed randomly among the atoms of other metals. And the transition metals form alloys readily. The transition metals form alloys readily because they have similar atomic radii and other characteristics. Because of the similar atomic radii and other characteristics, they readily form alloys. So example for some alloys, I'm taking steel. Steel is an alloy. You can take stainless steel also. Now look at the alloys of transition metal and non-transition metal. Suppose I'm taking brass. Brass is a alloy. It is consists transition metal is copper and non-transition metal is zinc. Non-transition metal is zinc. Next I'm taking bronze. I'm taking bronze. It is an alloy of copper and it is an alloy of copper and tin. So these are the example for alloys. This is alloys formation.